In this tutorial, you will learn how to find the algebraic equation of a linear relation when given 2 points. Here's the question. Determine the equation of the line that passes through the points -1, 5, and 2, -1. Now, we learned from class that there are 3 simple steps to finding the equation of a line. Step 1 is to find the slope. Step 2 is to identify the y-intercept. Step 3 is to sub them into the slope-y-intercept form of a line, y equals mx plus b. Alright, so let's begin. Let's start by finding the slope. Now, how do we find the slope given 2 points? Well, we can use the slope formula. The slope formula looks like this. It's y2, notice that the 2 is not an exponent, minus y1 divided by x2, notice the 2 is not an exponent, minus x1. If you recall, y2 minus y1 gives us the rise, or the y differences, or delta y. x2 minus x1 gives us the run, or the x differences, or delta x. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify from our points which one's x1, y1, and which one's x2, y2. So I know a coordinate point. The first number is the x, the second number is the y. Right, the first number is the x value, second number is the y value. Now I'm just going to label this point as my first point, so I'm going to put x1 and y1. And I'm going to identify this point as my second point. So I'll put x2 and y2. Now it doesn't matter which one's your first or second. It'll work just the same, so long as you have one point, 1, 1, and another point, 2, 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my y2, which is -1, and replace the y2 with -1, minus, and this is where it helps to use brackets, because we are substituting, and we don't want to make a mistake with integers. So y2 is -1, minus y1, and we can look at what y1 is, 5. And that's all divided by x2. x2 is 2 minus x1. In this case, x1 is -1. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to simplify. This will become -1 minus 5. And the denominator would become 2. Now here we have 2 negatives. 2 negatives become positive, so it becomes 2 plus 1. When we do the addition, -1 minus 5 is -6. And 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, you always want to make sure you simplify your fractions as much as possible, so as not to lose communication marks. And -6 over 3, well, what number goes into 6 and what number goes into 3? Well, 3 goes into both. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So you have -6 divided by 3 becomes -2. And so we've just identified our slope is -2. And what I like to do is I like to put a box around that to indicate that I've completed step 1. And that's going to help me later, because in step 3 I'm going to need to remember what m is. So there's what m is. Perfect. Step 2, we're going to find the y-intercept. So how do we find the y-intercept given these 2 points? Well, we're going to use what we just found, plus we're going to use a point, and we're going to sub them into the equation to help us isolate b. So I'll show you how that works. What we're going to do is we're going to sub, sorry, wrong color. I'm pretty picky. Here we go. So we're going to sub, and this step is important to write so that we don't lose communication marks. And the real reason why you want to write it is that you're letting the person know what you're doing next. We're subbing m equals 2, and we're going to sub in x and y values into the equation y equals mx plus b. Now, where do I get these x values and y values from? Well, the points. Pick any point you want. I'm going to take this first point, -1, 5. So x is -1, and y is 5. Because the coordinate is -1, 5, x being -1, y being 5. And I'm going to sub it into this equation. So again, I'm using substitution. So I'm going to replace the y with 5. I'm going to replace the m with -2. the x with -1, and the only thing I don't know is b. And that's what we want. We want the y-intercept. So now what we're going to do is we're going to simplify. -2 times -1 is +2. And then isolate, because we want b by itself. So this 2 comes to the other side and becomes 5 minus 2, which gives us a value of b being 3. And again, I'm going to put this around a box, because this is a solution to step 2. So step 1 is find the slope. I did that. It's -2. Step 2 is find the y-intercept, b, which I did is 3. The last step is to sub them into the slope y-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And so what you do next is you state your conclusion, and you say, therefore, the equation is y equals, what was our m value again? -2 x plus, what was our b value? 3. And there's the equation of a line that passes through these 2 points.